Grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, or grand rest wherever you are, whenever you tune in. Beloved, multiversal soul, familia. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. This is day 4 of 6 steps towards joy. And the 4th step for today's video is choose your response. Act rather than react. We can change how we feel in any moment by changing our judgments of a situation. Take time to pre-perceive circumstances of upset and reframe our judgments in search of the hidden gifts and potentials. In any moment, we can choose how we feel and how we will respond. How can I reframe this, and what is the best way to respond for joy? Well, I've been wanting to get back into some artsy stuff, tapping into my more feminine traits, but also felt this urgency to really latch on to the masculine, and that putting action, some kind of action into what I'm saying. And the example that I'm going to use of how to choose a different action is when I realized I left all my paints out in the barn. It's sub-zero temperatures, everything's frozen, and I was all bummed out, like, oh great, I can't work on my art piece, now what? Then I was like, I remembered when I was younger and I used to actually do finger painting with toothpaste. And nowadays I have the luxury, if I so choose, of getting these little packets of pigments. These in particular are metallic pigments, but you can get matte pigments as well from the same place I got these. And you can use them for all different kinds of things. Soaps, soap molds. If you like to do like epoxy molds of like different shapes and designs. And you can also use them to add pigment to white paint. And I did make an effort to go out to the barn and bring in some of my art supplies. I have different types of glues in here for different projects that I like to work on, and also some acrylic paints. We have black and blue and green and red and yellow, and of course we can mix these colors at different variations to create other colors. And then I also have this baby oil gel. This stuff works really good for when you like to do like the abstract art where you combine the paints with the oils and then you do a pour over and just kind of work the canvas in different directions to spread everything out, and it turns out so beautiful. So I was mindful to bring those in and sit them close to my floor heater, but not next to it, so we don't have any accidents. This is actually interior paint, but I figured it would work just as good for like throwing a little bit of something on a canvas. It is, let's see, I'm trying to read. A 4-hour dry time, but it's also an easy cleanup. Oh, yes. Anyways, improvising with what I have, working with what I have is the name of the game. And that is how I choose to act rather than react. Like, okay, how can I still tap in to creative self-expression um, without the perfectionism and without like feeling as though I don't have all the right things to make it happen. Like, look at this canvas I have drying in the background here. I took a canvas that I started to sketch on it, and then I decided that I was just going to, that's black, glossy black spray paint, painter's touch spray paint. And so I decided to go with a glossy black background as my base, medium, and then we'll throw in, I like to do abstract art more than anything. And I also have some toothpaste. And you can take a palette, squeeze a little bit of that toothpaste out, and then use your brush to mix in the pigments, like sprinkle a bit of the pigment over it, and then you can, well, I mean, you can use toothpicks, all different kinds of things, small brushes to mix it. But I also have this paintbrush that I like to use to more particularly get like a background of some kind going before I start throwing in the details. Remember to wet your brush beforehand, and also have ways to clean up on hand before you get started. And so instead of just jumping right to it, I put a little more thought into it. And allowed myself the opportunity to choose how I was going to respond to what was originally preconceived as a dilemma, but there really was no dilemma. I just allowed that ego to become active and try to convince me that I didn't have everything that I needed, so I'm just going to push it off, push it off, push it off. Well, today is the day that we're going to tap in. I'm not going to do it on this particular video, but we will be tapping in on a separate video to a little more creative self-expression as soon as I decide what I'm going to go with, just to get myself started. And I'm doing this to cultivate joy and making it possible by choosing to act and respond with joy. Get excited about what is about to happen, and also leaning away from the outcome, the finished product. Like, what's it going to look like in the end? Because let me tell you something about art. It hardly ever, if ever, turns out exactly the way that we imagined it. But usually and most of the time, it turns out to be better than we imagined it. By approaching every single step in the process, choosing joy, creating, being that creator of that joy. And then it carries over into that creative self expression as well. So, we're going to go into the Work Your Light deck again today to just see what type of insights and golden nuggets of wisdom will come through to encourage us and enlighten us on how we act and respond to perceivable circumstances. 1, 2, and oop. Okay, so the two closest to the top can go back in the deck because these messages are only meant to be 3 card messages for this mini series. So that's what we're going to do. And here we go. I need to wet my whistle and try not to knock anything over here. Let me grab a drink of my water. Okay. I have my water container away from my workspace because I already have an old pillowcase laid down across the table right here to protect the table when I start getting into this art piece over here. And if I like it enough, I may just actually put it up for sale. We shall see. I don't know. I might just keep it for myself or gift it to someone special. We shall see. Again, see, there I am thinking about the outcome already, and I haven't even really dove in, like, with more than just a toe in the water here with that. So we're going to leave that alone for the time being and get into these cards. Golden nuggets and insights of wisdom of how we can feel in any moment by changing our judgments of a situation. We have get grounded, empaths, highly sensitives, and connect with nature. Ooh, so this is inspiring me to go and be inspired by nature with whatever it is I end up doing for this art piece. And those creative juices are already flowing. Oh my goodness. So, yes, get grounded. Let's talk about it. I'm reaching for my paintbrush like it's a microphone or something. Let's go into get grounded. And read a bit more detail. You're being called to get grounded, to ensure that your luminous field is clear and your inner well is full. If you're not grounded, it is all too easy to get swept up in other people's energy and mistake it for your own. Your boundaries will become blurred as you are absorbing the energies around you and struggling to define what is their stuff and what is yours. If you pulled this card, you are very, very likely an empath or a highly sensitive person and need time alone to fill up your well, balance your energy, and get grounded. There are 2 types of people, those who draw their energy from others and those who draw their energy from within. Reflect on which one you are and carve out the time each day to ensure your well is being replenished. Being sensitive is a superpower, but like all powers, it needs to be nurtured in order to be fulfilled. It's easy to get swept up in the high frequency energies that are swirling around the planet. The quickest and most effective way of clearing all this from your field is to ground yourself by connecting with Mother Earth. There are many ways to get grounded. One of the most powerful ones is to practice earthing. By connecting to the power of Mother Earth, spending time in nature, put your hands on a tree as your palms are extensions of your heart chakra, or walk barefoot on the earth. And there is a work your light action with this card as well. Do something to get grounded and connect with the earth. So, all right. That's pretty self-explanatory. Let's go on into the next card. We have, it's called Answer the Call. What is your soul calling you to do? Well, I shared a little bit on what my soul is calling me to do. But this inquiry is for you as well. Answer the call. Answer the call. Answer the call. So, what is your soul calling you to do? You're being called to answer the call of your soul. It might be scary, it might not make sense, but if you trust your soul's yearnings, you will live a life beyond what your mind could possibly imagine. Answer your soul's calling is not a one-time thing, rather a lifelong dance. Deep down, you already know what you long for, what your soul yearns for, what you are called to do. That is your calling. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for permission. Just say yes. Most people are waiting for a step-by-step plan before they take the first step. But intuition doesn't work like that. It takes faith and courage to answer the calls of your soul. And that's why most people don't do it. But you are not most people. You are in exactly the right place to answer your calling now. You don't need to know the whole plan. You don't even need to know where it is leading. You just need to take the next step. No one has ever had the complete perfect plan. There is no end destination. There is no right or wrong way to do it, and you do not need permission from anyone else. Sometimes the more resistance we have around answering a soul calling, the more important it is to our soul's growth. And the Work Your Light inquiry for this card is, what is your soul calling you to do? And do keep in mind that your job, work, that the mundane matrixy stuff, that is not necessarily your calling. Now, some of you may feel called to do certain matrixy type jobs as part of your calling, and that would make absolute sense because the world is our oyster and our playground. We're here to play and have fun and just experience as souls and human bodies having human experiences. That is the overall message of our calling. But each of us also have innate gifts, not that make us more special, more important, or better than anybody else, but meant as like tools and materials for us to utilize as part of our calling to fulfill our mission. And the primary mission is, well, as starseeds anyway, and light workers, is to raise our own energy, frequency, and vibration. And as we do so, in turn, it also raises the energy, frequency, and vibration of the planet, of creation, of all creation. So, as we are working our light without being laser focused on it being a benefit for everyone else as well, it just becomes that. So answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? All right. And then the third call we have is leap. You go first. The universe will catch you. This is like the Fool card in the Fool's Journey in traditional tarot. But this is not tarot, beloveds. Do not get it twisted. This is taking that leap of faith and embracing the unknown. Taking that first step without knowing the outcome, without knowing the steps. Just know that that first step is the hardest. But when it's part of your soul's journey, once you take that first step, you'll become more and more courageous each step that you take. Life bends for the courageous, beloveds. The universe wants to support you, but first you need to leap, to throw your life up in the air without knowing. Perhaps you know what you are being called to leap toward or away from, but are scared to make the move. Or maybe you're waiting for a big fat sign or instruction manual or permission to do so first. If this is you, then this card is your sign and permission to slip. Oh, excuse me, your sign and permission slip to take a deep breath and leap into the unknown. It's scary to let go of all that we know and hope for something new. And it's normal to feel anxious at the thought of letting go of what we know for sure. But this is the unavoidable process of rising. And right now, this is how you're being called to live. Nature is constantly showing us how to live with courage. Fall comes every year and encourages the trees to loosen their grip, to allow what once was so full of life to fall away, leaf by leaf. For a moment, it feels like nothing will grow again. The branches are left bare, without the comfort of what once was. But in the morn of the spring, new shoots begin to appear, and something new is born that is even more glorious than before. You go first. Take a good run up and leap. And so it is, as it is already done. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Time to get grounded and laser focused. Choose your response and act rather than react. Change how we feel in any moment by changing our judgments of that situation. 2442 showed itself as an angel number. Let's see what it is all about. Carefully connecting with those who love you. Being grateful. A sign of clarity coming through. Open your eyes to see the world in a different light. Encouraging us to maintain balance in all aspects of our lives, including relationships, our calling, and spirituality. It's a sign that we have great powers to influence our life in the best way that fits us. Heed that message and all will be well in our lives. Thank you so very much, beloved Multiversal Soul Familia, for tuning in with much gratitude and appreciation. Brightest of blessings to you from my heart chakra to yours.